London night. Coming up, the California governor sues Fox. This is Bloomberg. California Governor Gavin Newsom is suing Fox News over its coverage of a conversation he had with President Donald Trump about protests in Los Angeles. He accuses the network of deliberately misrepresenting comments to claim that Newsom lied about the phone conversation. Newsom is seeking $787 million in damages, citing a similar defamation lawsuit Fox News settled with Dominion Voting Systems in 2023. Fox News has responded that the lawsuit is a transparent publicity stunt and frivolous, and plans to defend it vigorously and seek its dismissal. Joining me is defamation lawyer Jeff Lewis. Jeff, tell us about the basics of Newsom's complaint against Fox.
Well, the gist of the lawsuit is that Fox News misrepresented a couple of calls between Trump and Newsom preceding the deployment of the National Guard. And Fox News tried to paint a picture that Newsom was lying about not being called by President Trump. That's the gist of the lawsuit, and Newsom is seeking, millions of dollars in damages for defamation per se.
So now he's alleging that this was deliberate on Fox's behalf, that they made deceptive video edits and false statements?
Yeah, and by the way, they have to allege that it was intentional because Newsom is a public figure. He's a political figure. And so under New York Times versus Sullivan, he has the burden of proving not only that Fox News said something false, but they said so with actual malice, meaning they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were saying was false. And so there has to be allegations of intentionality or this case will be dismissed.
Newsom is seeking $787 million, and that number seems to be symbolic because it is about the same amount that Fox News paid to Dominion Voting Systems in 2023 to settle a separate defamation lawsuit over the network's election coverage.
The Fox News lawsuit and settlement with Dominion figures prominently in the storytelling of this complaint. You read the first few paragraphs, and that's part of this piece of trying to demonstrate that Fox News hasn't learned a lesson and is acting intentionally to try to get past the actual malice standard.
And in the Dominion case, discovery revealed some information that Fox would rather have kept hidden. And could that happen again here in discovery?
Absolutely. There will be text messages, communications about this interchange and how, for example, how Fox News vetted this story and did anything to verify what President Trump was saying on his social media about the timing of these calls. So there will be discovery, and that discovery can prove to be embarrassing.
Are there hurdles here with questions about news and commentary and whether you're, shading the truth or just making a comment on a political figure?
Yeah, that's a great question because in this case, he has tried to essentially allege the tort of false light, which is related to defamation. And false light is taking facts, taking clips, and editing them suspiciously to place you in a negative light to suggest you're either lying or that you aren't telling the truth. That's the gist of what Governor Newsom has alleged here. And so in a traditional defamation case, you're looking for a false statement of fact, something that's provably false. And here it's more about, through deceptive editing, whether or not Newsom was shown by Fox News to not know what he's talking about or be inaccurate in terms of his recollection of phone calls with President Trump.
It does seem like there is evidence. There was just a 16-minute phone call between Newsom and Trump, and that it took place either late on June 6th, California time, or early on June 7th on the...
Yeah, but let me just say this. Truth is a defense in defamation law, and you don't have to be exactly right on all the details. There's plenty of cases out there that say being substantially true or close enough is good enough in the world of defamation. And so I don't know if the gap or the inaccuracy of saying it was a day ago as opposed to 3 days ago will be enough to convince a court to let this escape a motion to dismiss. It's kind of a weak defamation claim, if you ask me.
The Chiron did read, Gavin lied about Trump's call.
Yeah, well, and what Fox News showed was a Truth Social post by President Trump with the call log showing that there was a phone call. And the question is, will that be enough? Will that be close enough to the truth to allow the lawsuit to be dismissed? Or will Newsom be able to say, well, this casts me in a false light, makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about?
And tell us about the cause of action under California's unfair competition law.
That's not going anywhere. Let me tell you, this is a law that is usually used to protect consumers against false advertising and claims like that. And it's not going anywhere because under California law, you're not entitled to damages. You're entitled to restitution. So if Governor Newsom could somehow prove that Fox News made $1 or $2 or $10 off of this story, could tie it directly to that story, the best Governor Newsom could hope for is to get restitution of those profits. But that's not going to be proven here. That claim is going to be dismissed.
Apparently, the lawyers offered to drop the lawsuit if Fox retracts the comments and apologizes. Is that a good deal for Fox?
It is a good deal if all you care about is paying money in terms of legal fees for a defense. It's a bad deal in terms of Fox News might enjoy the exposure. Fox News might enjoy being the antagonist to Governor Newsom. So there are non-monetary issues here.
This is sort of echoing or copying Trump's strategy of suing the media. I mean, he has that suit alleging that CBS Network edited an interview with Kamala Harris to favor her. And that's got to be a difficult case to prove.
Yeah, again, because of the issues involving a public figure having to prove actual malice, and it's more of a false light as opposed to a provably false fact. And those are all hard things to prove in a defamation claim. Defamation claims are really hard to win.
Prior to Trump, have there been a lot of political figures that, sued for defamation over unfavorable coverage?
Well, in California, you see a lot of lawsuits against political opponents, things that are said during the heat of campaigns. But usually those lawsuits are directed at your political opponent, not the media, not the person holding the microphone.
How did those suits end up? Because I can imagine almost every politician could sue the opposition.
That's right. Well, in California, we have a very robust anti-SLAPP law, which allows defendants to quickly file a motion to get these kinds of lawsuits dismissed. And they're quickly vetted and either disposed of or settled. They rarely go to trial. One interesting note here, California has one of the most powerful pro-defendant anti-SLAPP laws in the nation. Governor Newsom sued in Delaware, perhaps to avoid application of that anti-SLAPP law and to avoid an early testing of the evidence in this case.
Is this an uphill battle for him to survive a motion to dismiss?
It is an uphill battle, both in terms of the actual malice standard, the issue of whether or not there's a provably false fact, where's the lie, and whether or not he could prove any damages. Now, he's alleged something called defamation per se. And if you go on the air and you accuse someone of being a thief or a murderer, that's defamation per se. You don't have to prove damages. The lie here that was alleged was some confusion over a phone call. I don't know that meets the legal definition of defamation per se. So that means Governor Newsom has to prove some sort of damages flowing from this statement.
He claims that Fox harmed his reputation and may even cost him votes in the future. One wonders how many Fox viewers would actually be voting for Newsom in any event.
Yeah, in the law, there's this requirement called proximate cause. You got to draw a line between the harmful act and actual damages. And in defamation per se, you don't have to draw that line. But in this case, I think he'd be hard-pressed to show any person who actually saw this broadcast would not have already had an opinion previously about Governor Newsom, and that opinion somehow changed. And by the way, Governor Newsom's termed out, hasn't announced that he's running for president, so I'm not sure what vote he's talking about.
I think we know which vote. And hours after filing the lawsuit, Newsom highlighted it in an email to supporters that sought donations to his political action committee. Thanks so much, Jeff. That's defamation attorney Jeff Lewis. And that's it for this edition of the Bloomberg Law Show. Remember, you can always get the latest legal news on our Bloomberg Law podcast. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and at www.bloomberg.com/podcast/law. And remember to tune into the Bloomberg Law Show every weeknight at 10 p.m. Wall Street time. I'm June Grosso, and you're listening to Bloomberg.